Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Myself Bhusharkar. Today I'm going to continue the series where I am going to practice the PIQ. As you know that I had already started a series where I talked about the PIQ and give explanation of this PIQ, and this is a useful PDF. You can download it from my Telegram channel. So today I'm going to do December 2009 English paper. So let's start with the question. So here is our first question. A classical influence on Ben Jonson's Volpone is, so the answer will be Aristophanes. So as you know that Ben Jonson's Volpone is a most famous work, and most of the time from this text the questions were asked. So Aristophanes, he is a comical writer, comic playwright, and he was born in 446 BC and died in 386 BC. He was a comic playwright of ancient Athens. I had already done a series where I talked about the Greco-Roman period. There I talked about Aristophanes, so you can check it out. It is in the playlist. So he was a comic playwright of ancient Athens. 11 of his 40 plays survive virtually complete. These provide the only real example of a genre of comic drama known as old comedy. He is also known as the father of comedy. So Aristophanes is known as the father of comedy and the prince of ancient comedy. So he is known for the prince of ancient comedy, and the modern comedy writers are Terence and there was another. Okay, so Aristophanes was called the father of comedy. Then Kipling, the white man's burden. So I had already did a video about Edward Said. There I told about the poem that white man's burden, how Kipling talked about the white man burden. The white man burden is to civilize us, to civilize these Middle East countries, to civilize the Indians, civilize these colonized country. So Kipling's the white man's burden is addressed to, so it addressed to American imperial mission in Philippines. So it addressed to the American imperial mission in the Philippines. The white man's burden, the United States of the Philippines island, 1899 by Rudyard Kipling, is a poem about, sorry, so it is a poem about the Philippine American War. So in this context he wrote this poem, and it became famous because most of the writer like Edward Said and other post-colonial writer theorists, they talked about it, that how Kipling said that they are superior and they have to civilize us. So it was talked about the American imperial mission in the Philippines. Then the next question, poetry. A magazine of verse was founded by Harriet Monroe, and it was in 1912. So poetry, a magazine of verse published in Chicago since 1912, is one of the leading monthly poetry journals in the English speaking world. So it is a monthly journal, leading monthly journal, poetry journals in the English speaking world, and it was published in 19 it was started in 1912 by Harriet Monroe. Then, who among the following was Geoffrey Chaucer's contemporary? And it is a easy question. So the answer will be John Gaward. John Gaward was an English poet, a contemporary and a personal friend of Geoffrey Chaucer. He is remembered primarily for three major works. First is Mirror the Eye, Ome, Vox Clamantis, and Confessio Amantis. Then the next question, which of the following is not written by Walter Scott? So as you know that this kind of question, today also they ask this kind of questions, that choose the odd one out. So the answer will be D, the English mail coach. So the English Mail Coach is an essay by English author Thomas de Quincey. So this time also they asked a question from Thomas de Quincey. So the English Mail Coach is an essay by English author Thomas de Quincey. It is a three-part masterpiece and one of his most magnificent work. It first appeared in 1849. The essay is divided into three sections. First is the glory of motion, the vision of sudden death, and dream fuse, founded on the preceding theme of sudden death. So these are the three parts: the glory of motion, the vision of sudden death, dream fuse, founded on the preceding theme of sudden death. So this is the English Mail Coach. Then it was written by Thomas de Quincey, and other works are Ivanhoe, Lady of the Lake, Heart of Midlothian. So it was by Walter Scott. Then provincializing Europe is a concept founded by. So it is a work in subaltern theory. Okay, so it is propounded by Dipes Chakraborty. Provincializing Europe, post-colonial thought and historical difference address the mythical figure of Europe that is often taken to be the original site of modernity. In many histories of capitalist transition in non-Western countries, so it is it addressed to the mythical figure of Europe that is often taken to be original site of modernity and in histories of capitalist transition in non-Western countries. So Dipes Chakraborty was famous for subaltern theory, and provincializing Europe is famous work by him. Then the earliest track on feminism is, so the earliest track of feminism is Mary Astley's A Serious Proposal to the Ladies. So Mary Astley's, she was born in 1666 and died in 1731, was one of the first English women to advocate the idea that women were just as rational as men. So he advocated the idea that women were just rational like men and just as deserving of education, so they also deserve education. So A Serious Proposal was first published in 1694. So it was published in 1694 and it is the earliest track on feminism. And other works you also know that these are also feminist work. Then match the imaginary location with its creator. So Wessex, you know Wessex by Thomas Hardy. Then other, like, let's look at the explanation and the answer will be B. So Emily Bronte said her novel's background in Edgone Heath. So Edgone Heath, you know Emily Bronte. Although Edgone Heath is also a fictitious area of Thomas Hardy's Wessex. Then Thomas Hardy said all his major work in south and southwest of England, he named the area Wessex. So you know that Wessex by Thomas Hardy. Then Charlotte Bronte said Lordwood personage as a background in her novel Jane Eyre. Then Charles Dickens used Cocktown as a set in his novel Hard Times. Okay. Then, which Chaucerian text parodies Dante's The Divine Comedy? And the answer will be The House of Fame. The House of Fame is a Middle English poem by Geoffrey Chaucer, probably written between 1379 to 1380. So, these texts parodize Dante's Divine Comedy. Then, Essay of Elia was first published. So, Essay of Elia by our Charles Lamb. It is a collection of essays written by Charles Lamb and it was first published in 1823. So please remember, because this question also asked in 2023. So Essay of Ilya was first published in 1823. Then, which of the following is an example of homosexual fiction? So this is an interesting question. So which of the following is an example of homosexual fiction? And the answer will be Morris. B. Morris is a novel by E.M. Foster, and as you know that E.M. Foster was also a homosexual person, and it was written in 1913 to 1914. It is a tale of same-sex noble early 20th century England, and you know that he was also punished for his homosexuality, and Morris was his work which is a homosexual fiction. And when I saw the date 1913, 1913 was a date when Rabindranath Tagore got the Nobel Prize, and 1913 was also the date when Sons and Lovers published by D.H. Lawrence. So you can relate it like that. Then W.B. Yeats' Easter 1916 is, so it is a response to a major political uprising, and if you read this poem, you can answer the question, right? That it is a response to a major political uprising. Easter 1916 is a poem describing the poet's torn emotions regarding the events of the Easter Rising staged in Ireland against British rule. So this is a famous poem by W.B. Yeats, Easter 1916. Then William Emerson's Seven Types of Ambiguity is, so it is a analysis of poetic ambivalence. So I also made a video where I talked about William Emerson's Seven Types of Ambiguity. You can check it also. So Seven Types of Ambiguity is a work of literary criticism by William Emerson, which was first published in 1930. The book is organized around seven types of ambiguity that Emerson finds in the poetry he criticizes. Then, so it is an analysis of poetic ambivalence. Then, who among the following is associated with the ideology of utilitarianism? So John Stuart Mill was famously associated with the ideology utilitarianism. And what is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism means that use the most. So he was born in 1806 and died in 1873. He was an English philosopher, political economist, and feminist and civil servant. He was proponent of utilitarianism. Then the condition of noble literature refers to, so it refers to the literature of England depicting vulnerability of labor classes. Condition of noble, you know. So the term condition of noble, condition of England nobles, refers to a body of narrative fiction also known as industrial novels and social problem novels. So it is also known as industrial novels and social problem novels, published in Victorian England and depicting the vulnerability of labor classes in England. So it talked about it is a literature of England depicting the vulnerability of labor classes. Then the next question, Philip Sidney wrote an apology for poetry in immediate response, and it is an easy question, and it is the immediate response of Stephen Gosson's The School of Abuse. An apology for poetry or the defense of poesy is a work of literary criticism written in approx 1579 and published in 1595. It is generally believed that he was at least partly motivated by Stephen Gosson. Then Silence, the Court is in Session is a famous drama by Vijay Tendulkar, and it is a Marathi drama. So Silence, the Court is in Session is a Marathi play written by playwright Vijay Tendulkar and first performed in 1968. The play was written in 1963. So I want to tell you that after finishing the theory series, I will start the Indian literature series. Maybe I will start it before ending the theory series, and where I will talk about the Indian writers and which are important to net in net exam. Okay, so Silence the Court is in Session is a famous drama by Vijay Tendulkar, and it is a Marathi play. Then you have to arrange it. So epigram is a brief, interesting, memorable and sometimes surprising or satirical statement. Then in poetry, a stanza is grouped set of lines within a poem. Then sonnet is a poetic form which signified a poem of 14 lines that follows a strict rhyme scheme of specific structure and specific structure. A epic poem is the lengthy narrative poem ordinarily concerning a serious subject containing details of heroic deeds and events. So this you have to arrange it in ascending way. Then, fail I alone in words and deeds, why all the men strive and who succeed? So this is a quotation by that Robert Browning, and it is from the last ride. So it was written in 1891. Fail I alone in words and deeds, why all men strive and who succeed? So it is by Robert Browning is a monologue of a rejected lover exploring the end of a love affair. Then, Dr. Johnson's The Vanity of Human Wishes expresses, so it expresses cynicism. The Vanity of Human Wishes, the 10th satire of juvenile imitated, is written in 1749 as the subtitle. As the subtitle suggests, it is an imitation of satire by Latin poet Juvenal. So it is a imitation of satire by Latin poet Juvenal. Then it is a juvenile comedy, and it is express the cynicism. Then a trivial comedy for serious people. So a trivial comedy for serious people was subtitled The Importance of Being Honest. So the importance of being honest is an important work. Most of the time net ask a question from this work. So the importance of being honest, a trivial comedy for serious people, is a play by Oscar Wilde, and it was performed in 1895. Is a farcical comedy. So it is a farcical comedy. Then which famous, and you have to know the single thing about this play, because most of the time they ask uh, question from this. Then which famous elegy closes with the following lines: In the desert of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days, teach the free man how to praise. So it is from In Memory of W.B. Yeats. So poem In Memory of W.B. Yeats is an elegy by W.H. Auden. So maybe I made a no, I did not made. So I will made a video of this poem because it is a beautiful poem, and I really like this poem. So in the desert of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days, teach the free man how to pray. So it is a poem by W.H. Auden, and it is in the memory of W.B. Yeats. Then the temple is a collection of poems by, so it is a collection of poem by George Herbert. As you know that these are the metaphysical poets, and George Herbert, he was a religious person, and he wrote the collection The Temple. George Herbert, he was born in 1593 and died in 1633, was a Welsh poet, orator and Anglican priest. In 1633, all of Herbert's English poems were published in the Temple Sacred Poems and Private Ejaculations. So the subtitle is Sacred Poems and Private Ejaculations. Then Ben Jonson's comedies are, you know that the answer will be Volpone, Alchemist, and epicone. So epicony, and it is epicony is the subtitle is the silent women, right? So these are the comedies by Ben Jonson. Volpone is a comedy first performed in 1605 to 1606, drawing on elements of city comedy and beast fable. The Alchemist is a comedy first performed in 1610 by the King's Men. Epigony, or the Silent Women, was originally performed by the Blackfriars children and children of Queen's Rebels. So these are the famous comedy by Ben Jonson. Then the last question for today: what is El Allegro's companion piece called? So El Allegro's companion piece called, you all know that, El Pensereso. El Allegro for is an elegy, and El Pensereso for happy thing. So Allegro is a pastoral poem by John Milton, and please note down the publication date, because this time they asked the chronology question. They asked the question, you have to choose the right chronology of his work, John Milton's work. And El Allegro, which means the happy man. The happy man in Italian is invariably paired with the contrasting pastoral poem, which is Il Penseroso, which means the melancholy poem, melancholy man. So El Allegro mean the happy man, and El Penseroso mean the melancholy man, which depicts a similar day spent in contemplation and thought. So that's all for today. I hope you like this series and like the video. So if you like the video, please hit the like button, and thank you for giving your time.